Want to know a simple way to beat stress, fatigue, and get better sleep? Magnesium. The one I use is Magnesium Breakthrough from BioOptimizers. It helped me relax more, stress less, and sleep deeper. What's not to love? When you get all 7 critical forms of magnesium, your body gets a serious upgrade from your brain to your sleep, pain and inflammation, and muscle tension. Guys, you know taking care of your body and your brain is more important now than ever. And with this one simple action, you can start feeling the benefits quickly. This stuff really works. Check it out. Go to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Chael. That's going to get you a 10% discount. Just use the promo code Chael10. So click on the link in the description or pinned comment to claim your discount and try the power of magnesium for yourself. Guys, let me fill you in. I was out at Eagle FC over the weekend. And Eagle FC, I have a lot of things to tell you guys, including fixing one thing. Do many of you think this was the first one? Because I did. I watched the promos for it, and the Eagle had landed, and they had these fantastic pieces, hyping the main event. Tyrone Spong, Sergey Harnikonov. One of these things, though, is I thought it was the first one. So I get out there, and I've got to read some stuff. I was part of the broadcast team, so you got to read some stuff, including stating what event you're at. It was Eagle FC 44. Now, that's a big different distinction. Thinking it's the first time versus it's the 44th time, just a big distinction. So what was the first time? Well, I think it was the first time on this platform. What was the first time? Well, I think it was the first time out of this venue. Well, what was the first time? Well, I think it was the first time it was advertised and marketed specifically to a North American audience. I can only tell you these were experts running it. Those 44 that had, when it came to personnel, when it came to being organized, let's start with the facility. So you guys have heard of the Apex. Apex is one of the most beautiful structures I've ever been in. I'll word it just like that. I prefer the Apex to Madison Square Garden. Personal choice, not the same history. As far as the infrastructure, what's new, how contemporary it is, I prefer the Apex. That's how nice the Apex is. Bellator, over COVID, came up with their own Apex. Now, that would be more known as a production space. They went inside of the Mohegan Sun. They black draped the whole thing. They brought in the cameras and the lights, but they had their own production space, and they were throwing shows every 2 weeks, which is a lot easier to do under this new model. And Dana has to get the credit for that. Everybody else was the traveling circus. Dana said, you know what, let's just get one set. Same as Saturday Night Live does. We can show it to the world. They're going to operate out of the same facility, and a lot of people are now adding to that same idea. I think we're going to see it in boxing. Pro wrestling had done something like that at one point. When Paul Heyman was doing it, was it called ECW? But they had an arena. So I bring it to you because what the hell took us so long? Right? I mean, there's a reason Soldier Field has caught on, or Cowboy Stadium. Like, you put the home team, bring somebody else in, they go take them on, you're going to have your local fans. But Eagle FC did this. They had a facility. It was huge. This thing was massive. They used to run some other sport out of there before Eagle FC took this thing over, and it was either hockey or it was basketball, but I believe it. You had all of the locker rooms, 3 floors of offices that are full of people. I mean, they had a real infrastructure. When it was time to go lights, camera, action, this event was as beautiful as any event I've been to, with a little bit of a different feel. I'm never crazy about, because I don't understand it, when somebody talks about energy or they talk about a feel. Oh, it's got a good energy. Oh, it has a bad. I don't know what that means. I could use a little bit more words, but guys, I have to default to that because it was a feel. There was a feeling in the air. There was a special energy at Eagle FC. I've been to a number of first-time events. I was at the first ever Metamoris, just by example. I was at the first ever Strike Force, just by example. But I was at all 3, or both of the Affliction shows. All great events. This felt different. Now, Khabib specifically wanted to give the live audience a nightclub feel. How do you do that? Well, first off, it's a limited number of seats because they're fixed. They're set in there. And it's not just chairs sitting around a ring. He brought in theater-style seating, just like you're in a movie theater. So everybody's got a view. You've got the cage, the lights, the ramps, got the cameras, you got the whole bit. But Khabib, there was a dress code. Everybody who came, as limited as it was, and I believe it was 300, that's the number I'll throw out, but there was a dress code. I don't know specifically what it is, but I didn't see a single girl that wasn't in a dress. I didn't see a single guy that did not have on a collared shirt and a jacket. And then for the music, when you're dead, it's oosh, 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 right? Like everything's bumping. The announce team, and we were even told this, you could curse. Now, I'm not curse guy. I don't think anybody used a 4-letter word. I'm just sharing with you that it was just going to be a different feel. going to be a little bit more edgy, be a little bit more in a nightclub, having a cage fight, and bringing some really good guys to do it. But that's a theme. Many promotions, it could be grappling or it could be MMA. Many promotions don't have a different feel. They don't have a different theme. They don't have anything that sets them apart for the live audience or the home audience. I'm just offering for you guys as a guy that got to see both. I could be on this side of the curtain when it was going on. I got home and rewatched it. I got to see what you guys saw. It felt different. And each and every athlete that competed turned to Khabib in the ring, said, Khabib, bring me back. You don't see all sorts of promotions doing that, in all fairness. You don't see people turning to the promoter and saying, I want to come back again. This was the guys that won. This was the guys that lost. They wanted to come back again. And I think a lot of it did have to do because of this feel that I'm talking about, because of it was new, because of the way they were treated, because of the facility. Those things might sound simple. And for a fan at the audience, you don't take any of those into consideration. That's okay. You're not wrong to do that. But if you are one of the performers on the inside, the way that you're treated, it means something. Rashad Evans came back. He had a return fight. It had been 8 years since Rashad won a fight. But Rashad is also retired for about 2.5 years, maybe closer to 3. Got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Everything's going his way. He's still involved with the sport. He's training guys. He's rejuvenizing the Black Zillions. He's got a bunch of up-and-comers. Decides he wants to compete again. Now, anybody who comes out of retirement is going to be asked the same question, which is, what's going to be different now? Why should we expect something different from you now? But Rashad had an answer. Most don't. Rashad had an answer. His answer was he has changed his physiology because he changed his diet. Rashad, for 3.5 years, has been a fruitarian. It's a term I've never heard before. Rashad even gave me a book on it. Fruitarian means you don't eat anything but fruits and vegetables, and I do mean anything. And I asked all the questions that you're probably thinking, well, what about nuts? What about fish? What about chicken? I'll state it one more time. Rashad has not eaten anything for the better part of 3 years, aside from fruits and vegetables. But Rashad said how much better it made him feel. He talked about inflammation specifically, which is one thing that is less tenable the older you get while staying in athletics. Your body gets sore, gets tired, gets inflamed. You can't recover to get to the second workout in a day. That lack of workouts in conjunction with the competition getting those workouts, you fall behind. Rashad talked about that. He said, no, man, I felt great. That change in diet has actually made me faster. It helped my recovery time. It's what allowed me to do this. I don't know if he's right or wrong. This was his answer, but unlike most guys, Rashad had an answer. So that right there is worth tuning in and seeing. Now you have a big question because Rashad got his hand raised. In fact, he won every single round, but you have the big question, Rashad, was this just a send-off? Was this just the moment you wanted to come back and do this your way? That's very common within the psychology of an athlete. You want to go out the right way, and we never get to, right? If you're going out on wins, you don't go out, you stick around. You get forced out of sports, you get forced out of games. Is that what this is about? You guys might remember, you remember Daniel Cormier? Daniel Cormier was a top fighter in the world. He'd already won the Grand Prix. He was already in line to be fighting for world championships. He went back and had a wrestling match. The reason he did that is he had to retire at the Olympic Games, or at least the Olympic Games became his last time competing. He said, that's not how I want to go out. I want to have a match that I declare my last. I want to take my shoes off. I want to leave him. I want to go out the right way. It meant something to him, but it meant enough to him that he came back and he did another competition against Coach Chris Pendleton, a multiple-time national champion. Very hard match. But he wanted to be able to go out. So here's the question with Rashad. Rashad, is that what this is? Is this a go-out moment or is this a comeback? Because they're very different. And I don't think that Rashad knew in the moment. I don't think if you would have asked him the day before, he could have answered that question. Because a lot of it had to do with, right now it's one day at a time. Let me take care of this and let me talk to you in 15 minutes or less. Okay. I still don't know that I totally have the answer, but I think that Rashad is coming back. So where does he go and what kind of competition? Do we keep on bringing in these new guys that are looking to get a name off of Rashad, or do we bring in some veterans, get them back, have a little bit of fun in that direction? I can't answer that for you. But there was still something special to seeing a guy who took a very big risk, and Rashad did, just so that he could be at peace with himself. Very hard to understand. For a former world champion to ever think that he's not going to be remembered properly, or moreover for Rashad Evans, a Hall of Famer. The Hall of Fame is the greatest distinction that our industry offers. Rashad's in the Hall of Fame, but he needed something more. It was interesting. I appreciated it. I got to spend a lot of time with Khabib. I got to pick his brain. There was a part of me that thought going into this, Khabib had lended his name to something. Not the case. I spent an entire day with him 2 days before bell time. He was getting pulled in every direction. He was making all sorts of decisions. From the press conference to how the weigh-ins were going to go to what the post-fight meal was going to be. I mean, in all fair, this is Khabib's show, just as you guys are being told. And it's very interesting. I got to spend some time with Kamaru Usman. Very interesting guy, very driven, very well aware of his division. There was a rumor that came out over the weekend on Kamaru. It wasn't a rumor, it was an article. Kamaru Usman wanted to skip Izzy Adesanya and go right in against Jan Blachowicz. He wanted to do the champ thing, but he wanted to skip his friend and his countryman, Adesanya, go up to 205 pounds. Now, that would be very interesting. I don't know that I could predict for you that he could even get that fight. I don't think that Dana's mind would see it that way, or I don't. But it's still interesting when the 170-pound champion wants to take on the 205-pound champion. It'd be very hard for Blachowicz to say no. And one thing we do got to give Jan credit for is he doesn't say no, he says yes. It's no more of a risk for him. If you're taking on a smaller guy, it's a smaller guy, and he took on Adesanya. So I'm just sharing with you what could have been, and I did have an opportunity to talk to Kamaru about that and just say, hey, man, is this true? I read this out there. Is this true? Were you actually pursuing it? He said, I didn't do anything public. I never told Dana or things like this, but yes, that was my plan, and I wanted to have an opportunity to be champ, and I'm not getting in Izzy's way. I found that interesting. Then I had a chance to catch up with Cejudo. Cejudo is a very hard one to pin down, and I know him very well personally. I share that with you because it's not a situation where Henry knows Chael's going to come and blab. Be careful of what you say. Henry could tell me anything. He just needs to say, Chael, keep this between us. And Henry knows me that way, and he does do that sometimes, but he doesn't do that as it pertains to his comeback. So I always think I'm getting the straight scoop. And Henry's mind is getting pulled in a few different directions. He's not completely committed to one idea. But I have asked him point blank, Henry, for sure, are you coming back? He said yes. I said, okay, I heard you talk about Sterling, and I heard you talking about Jan as recently as last week. So I'm coming to the opinion that 135 is still in play. Now, that's where things got weird, because he told me no. He said no, 145. I said, okay. I heard you talking about those guys, but fine. New answer. You got the right to change your mind. Let me get you right now, Henry. 145, you're coming back. You'll go through the list. He said, Chael, I'm in the USADA pool. I'm training twice a day. I'm ready to go. I want Volkanovski. I said, hey, I know you want Volkanovski, but Volkanovski's already got an opponent, and it's not you. So are you willing to get in there? And that's where it was hard to get an answer. He for sure was willing to tell me that after he beats Volkanovski, he's going to stick around and defend the belt for a few years. He also was very confident in telling me if he lost to Volkanovski, he's going to stick around and take on the contenders then. I need to know the specific order. Henry, will you take on the contenders before you get the shot at Volkanovski? I couldn't pin him down, guys. I couldn't pin him down. But I can tell you that look in Henry's eye, he means this. This is real. For you Cejudo fans out there, be happy. You're getting your guy back. 135 as recently as 1 week ago was on the table. He's telling me, no, it's 45. And he's telling me I'm going to get Volkanovski. Let's see where this goes. That's the inside scoop. I had a great weekend. Had a few of these stories. Wanted to bring them to you guys. And I know I've dangled a few things. I know we didn't wrap them up. Stick around as the weeks come. We'll tie all of these things together. But for now, I feel good. I feel good in telling you Henry will be back.